Hello, everybody. Wait a minute. Here we go. Okay. Hello, everybody. It's Angie Atkinson, and I'm here today with the lovely and talented Dana Morningstar. Dana, hello, and welcome back.
Thank you for having me. It's great to see you as always.
My pleasure, and always great to see you as well. So Dana and I, as you guys know, every week we alternate channels. We go, oh, I hear myself talking. Hello, hold on. Okay. We alternate channels back and forth. This week we're on my channel. Next week we'll be over on Thrive After Abuse here on YouTube. So make sure you're subscribed to both of us. All right. So we have some fun stuff for you guys today. Hello, everybody. Chris, Haley, Jesse,
Lovely cat.
Lovely cat. See Rob. Hello. All right. Hey, Maddie and Martha. Okay. So Dana and I have this kind of fun thing we're doing. Dana, tell them about it.
Okay, so was it last week, I believe, we started talking about creating a vision board and just really kind of really defining like what we want this next chapter in our life to be about. And so many people, after they get out of an abusive relationship, are so stuck in the pain and the heaviness, and trauma can really do that to a person. It can make them, it can feel like you're going to always feel this way, or that you just feel stuck. And a big part of healing is really creating that compelling vision of now what, like of the future, of a direction to steer into. And so we decided that we were going to bring some pictures this week, and we're going to just make this a thing. Okay. So we're going to bring some words or some pictures or some images of things that we want to put on our own vision board, since we decided that we both needed to update our own personal vision board. And so it'd be a fun exercise for you guys to do as well. So
who's in?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us in the comments if you're going to do this with us. Do you want me to show mine first, Dana?
Yeah, I guess real quick though, let me just let people know there is no right or wrong way to do this. It's basically about finding words or images that really resonate with you, and ideally the emotions that you want to bring forward into your new and exciting future. So yes, please go for it, Angie. What you got?
Okay, I'm totally with Dana on this, and as you will see when you see our things, it does. It can be as serious or it can be as specific or as general as you like. For example, I have one that's just focus, because I think that's important, and passions, because I want to make sure I follow mine, and then strong, because I need to remember to be strong sometimes. Sometimes I have a moment of weakness. Hey, Malta. And an excellent source of can do. This was actually part of a cereal ad, but but I like, or candy bar ad, or say almonds ad. Anyway, but I really liked that. An excellent source of can do. I thought I'd like to be one of those and have one of those. So, and then couple of big ones. This one, live healthy, because I need to remember to live more healthy and practice that a little better. And on that same note, best shape, because I'm working on that too. So.
And you're doing a great job, by the way. I don't know if you've been talking to your community about what you're doing, but.
Not yet.
Okay. Well, then I won't.
No, it's totally okay. I'm not hiding anything either. I have told them that I've gained a few pounds back. After I lost 100 before. And so now I'm back on my original plan, which was Weight Watchers, and actually works really well for me. Although the new program is different than the old program. And I think it's even more effective because it does not have as many carbs, but it allows you to eat more things, which is really weird. Anyway, it's good. Yeah, I like it. So let's see yours. What do you got?
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have two pictures and then one full of words. And the words are drawn on a chalkboard kind of thing. This is going to be exciting. So in the house, which we'll be able to move back into in probably 3 months, but we're doing a chalkboard door in the kitchen.
I love that.
I know, I do too. I'm so excited. So I wanted to kind of just that sense of community. And we have a lot of friends that are artistic. So people just drawing stuff on there, having people over. So I have some words on here. It just says hello, come right in, welcome one and all, have a seat, howdy, be awesome, just kind of like affirming words, and
I love it.
yeah, just fun, playful sense of connection. And then I have an image of a gal who is standing with the sun behind her shoulder, and she's raising one arm, kind of like in a victory stance. And this is my picture for confidence.
I love it.
Confidence is something that I struggle with. And so, yeah, I'd like to develop more confidence in my skin. And then I have a picture of a gal in a field who's has her arms spread out. And again, she's facing the sun. And then to me, this is more of a feeling of just being present in the moment. I so often, especially with the fire, it's this feeling of I'll be happy when, I'll be settled when, and it's always, I'm trying to break the habit of like postponing contentment into some point in the future. And so just being grateful and present in the moment is something that I'm really trying to work on.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it. Very good. Okay. So are you guys in on this deal with us? Are you doing this with us? Let us know, like I said, and tell us what you think. And let's see who we've got. Oh, okay. We have sound. Good. Okay. Somebody was worried about sound, but we're good on that. Okay. Miss Rose says hello. Mr. Malta's here. Kirsten Beal has lost 30 pounds. Congratulations.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, Magenta's here from Scandinavia. I have 20% Scandinavian blood. What's up, sister? Okay. Let's see here.
And Jen says that she has one of these vision boards that she is building for herself. So very cool.
That is a very good thing.
Yeah.
I think that everybody should do a vision board. I mean, I think if you have any goals in life, even if you don't yet, but you want to get some, do a vision board. It's fun. I'd have mine on what is this thing called? It's a bulletin board. So I could just pin stuff up there. You could do it on just a cardboard or a piece of paper. It doesn't even matter. A book. Some people do it in a book. But I like to put it on mine is on a bulletin board here in my office because I spend a lot of time in here, and it's right next to the window where I happen to glance when I'm daydreaming. So it works out really well for me. Where do you put yours, Dana? Usually.
Yeah, I normally have it on a poster board in my office for the same reasons. I just like live in here.
Yeah.
So,
well, see, same page. Understood. All right, let's see here. Hello, Malta. Malta says hello to both of us. I already said Malta like 6 times. It's cool though. J Cat is here. Hello. Deb says she needs to update hers. Yes. People are in. This is good. Sam Maritza is here. Nancy is here. We have a good crowd today. BB London. What a cool name is that? That sounds like a designer name, BB, for real.
It does. Yeah.
Yes, like it. VIP Kid is here. Mothering Hands, Teresa. Okay, guys, let us know your thoughts. Let us know if you have questions, comments, concerns, things you want to talk about. We are here and we are ready. Dana, what have you been reading on this week? Anything new and exciting?
Oh boy. We have book club in my group Thursday. And so this week we're going to be we're reading a book called DBT Made Simple.
Oh, cool.
And it's just a bunch of different kind of the basics understanding of DBT. And then there's a bunch of exercises in there, which I'm such a huge fan of mindfulness and acceptance and just being in the moment. And so I think there's tons of exercises that I wish were taught starting in kindergarten that I think we could all benefit from. So that's been my focus, is working on this book, finishing this book. Yeah. How about you? Anything?
Oh, I'm always reading all the new research.
Yes.
And so there's always that. But one thing that you mentioned a book club. SPAN is now doing a book club, but not the same way yours is done. I'm not involved really as directly. But one of our admins has taken the lead and started like a separate book club group, which is going pretty well. I kind of keep my eye on it, but I don't always have time to be a part of it. I think it's cool that it's kind of a similar thing, but I'm not going to be doing any live streams about it anytime soon. But I think they just started to read. There was one book, it's called The Art of Not Giving a F.
Oh, uh-huh.
And some of them really didn't like it. They said it was just a little triggery for them. And so I think they decided to switch books, actually, which I thought was interesting. Have you read that one?
I haven't, but I've heard a lot of good things about it. So now it makes me curious to go read it.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested now as well
Yeah.
because I thought, anyway. And I've been looking at, okay, one more silly thing. Did you watch that? Have you seen that Netflix series called Insatiable yet?
I haven't, but that's on my list of things to do just because there was so much like hubbub about it.
I cannot, Philip DeFranco did not like it. And I was, usually I'm pretty much on board with everything he's on board with. But in this case, I feel like he was wrong because I think it's a girl thing, though. I think a female thing mostly. And I know that sounds weird to say, but I think most guys, no, I mean, I shouldn't say most guys. The guys in my life won't get into it. But for me, it's like a guilty pleasure thing, but I can't help it. It's too good. You should check it out. It's fun.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, so Martha Ross says, eat real food, stay away from processed food. I have culinary credentials. I lost over 100 pounds eating healthy and fresh, simple ingredient foods you can mix any way you care to. Eat like 100 years ago. She's so right about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's right about that.
That's been I think my biggest thing with weight gain and weight loss is what happens is I get so busy and it's a lot of it's anxiety. I'll feel it's not rational. Like I'll feel like I don't have time to actually prepare food. And I do, but then I'm like, I don't have time. I'm late. I'm late. And then I'll just start grabbing quick things like a bowl of cereal or, cheese and crackers or something like that. And it's getting different habits and even like doing meal prep.
Yeah.
Like making a bunch of salads and putting them in the fridge or something like that. I think I just need to incorporate some of these small changes to set myself up for success. So.
It's really what worked for me. It was to one thing at a time, baby stepping, like the first week I would make sure I had 8 glasses of water a day and I would drink ice water because I read somewhere that helps you burn more calories. And then the second week I would start like writing down everything I was eating. Plus I was still drinking the 8 glasses of water. And when I was writing down everything I was eating in the second week, I didn't have to decide that I was going to eat less than I was supposed to eat. I just had to write it down in my mind, and then like the third week I did the 20-minute rule where I had to wait 20 minutes between servings. I could have as many as I wanted, but I had to wait 20 minutes. And then I was totally on board after that. 3 weeks was what it took for me, because really, to be honest, by the second week when I was writing the things down, I started gamifying it. I was like, well, if I eat this giant salad as opposed to this little candy bar over here, I can have like less calories and eat a whole bunch more food. It worked for me. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was handy. So, hey, Nargis. Anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting. All the different factors that can be at play.
For sure.
And just getting real with yourself and figuring out like, what our triggers are. And, my brother often says, because, he's a personal trainer and a fitness model. And I'm like, how are we even related? Yeah. But he, and he's like in super amazing shape and has been forever. But he was saying one of his tips is to think about, to make better bad choices. So it's like, if you really like ice cream and you're trying to cut that out, is like, get a plan ahead of time. So you're not like binging on it. So either get like a super small dish to put ice cream in, or to get like frozen, like sherbet or something that's lower calorie, or know where like the frozen yogurt places are around your house. And
yeah, that's really true.
Yeah.
And also, and I think being prepared is huge. And I think having a plan is huge, that all huge. But I think something I wanted to roll back around to really quick, and I agree with everything your brother said. Like, I would know any better than him, obviously, right? But I'm not a fitness model, but I am a person who understands.
You've lost 100 pounds. Like that to me is huge. Yeah, it
was huge. Yeah. But with that being said, the stress, it's so easy. I just wanted to, I guess, validate what you said, because it's so easy to just slip off track. and like, there's some leftover whatever in the fridge, or, oh, I just really miss having a bowl of cereal or whatever. Or I'm in a hurry. I've got a live stream in 5 minutes. I better just hurry up and eat whatever I can get my hands on.
Yep.
I don't know, but it's a daily battle. You know what I mean? Even now I still have to be like, come on, get it together to myself, you know? So it's a process is what I'm saying. But for me, the benefits far outweigh the detriments 99% of the time.
Yeah.
Once a month, I go through like about 2 days where I just need to eat chocolate and hamburgers. I just have to. I have to have a hamburger and I have to have some chocolate. And if I allow myself to do it, then it'll be over. But if I don't, then I'll eat like everything else, trying to satiate something that won't be fixed by anything but chocolate and a hamburger, not together, but separately. So,
yeah.
So when you learn your cycle and you learn yourself well enough, then you know sometimes you just gotta let yourself have chocolate and a hamburger and then move on.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it helps. I agree. By the way, Jen Archer says you're a strong person, Dana, to have gone through that fire and not be a mess. You rock.
Oh, well, thank you. I have my moments, but I think for the most part, I'm doing pretty good, but thank you. So here's a question from Becky who asks, do people who gaslight know what they're doing?
Ooh, good question. Shall I start?
Go for it.
Okay. I think that a large percentage of them are very aware that they're manipulating you. I think there is a percentage of people who are actively gaslighting other people and are doing it out of almost habit and almost without thinking. I've actually seen it happen with narcissists where without even thinking, they just automatically go into manipulation mode to get what they want. I think this is a learned behavior. And I think, if you look at children, toddlers, I did a video about this the other day. Toddlers are always testing the world around them to see what they need to do to get what their needs met. And so if parents allow them to scream and cry and kick, and then they give them what they want, well, guess what they do every time they want something? It's a similar deal with narcissists, only they've spent so many years so often getting what they want that it does become automatic. But I think that those who are relatively intelligent are well aware of their manipulation. They wouldn't call it gaslighting. And I think in some cases, they really don't even recognize it as manipulation, but they certainly know they're doing something to get what they want. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I've experienced to me, there's like two main forms of gaslighting, or I guess two main types of behavior that drive gaslighting. And it's either a person who's just not comfortable with the truth. Like they get caught cheating, they get caught, stealing or lying or whatever. And they're just trying to deny the truth because they don't want consequences. And they're not trying to necessarily erode someone else's sanity. They don't want to fess up to it because they don't want to get in trouble. So they're just saying that they didn't do it. It didn't happen. It wasn't a big deal, blah, blah, blah. Like you see that a lot with people that get arrested for crimes. Like they just hold to their innocence until the evidence, they can't lie about it anymore. But then there is the type that's malicious. Their whole goal is to erode the reality of somebody else. And, either way, you lose. You're not dealing with the person who is walking in their authenticity.
Right.
Yeah. So I think if you can back things up even further and just be like that's all that matters. If there is no open, honest, sincere, solutions oriented communication, there is no trust, there is no relationship. So whether they're doing it intentionally or unintentionally because they're uncomfortable with the truth, well, even if they're uncomfortable with the truth, they're still doing it intentionally, but it's maybe not maliciously.
Right.
But it's all still a problem.
I agree. Yeah. And I don't think it really matters if they know they're doing it, because they're doing it and it's hurting us in the long run, Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. I think once manipulation is present in a relationship, everything stops.
Yeah.
There is no, it just the brakes just slam on, and any hope of having a healthy, nourishing relationship is just stopped, and it can't restart until both people, especially the manipulative person, is able to have that open, honest, sincere, solutions-oriented communication. And honestly, and then once odds are, if that's their way of handling things is by gaslighting or by trying to evade the truth, like you're going to continue seeing that behavior because that's like in their toolkit of how to handle things. So that's, when I talk about when we see stuff like this, it's just the tip of the iceberg. Like this stuff is going to keep surfacing.
Yes.
They're not, they're doing squirrely stuff or they're doing stuff that they don't want to admit to. And that's a problem.
Yeah. Hey, are you able to hear me? Because I just heard a notification on my computer.
I can hear you.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, but you're totally on point with that. I can't, there's no other way to put it. Do they have a plan? She also asked, and I'll tell you something. I think that they have a plan of getting what they want all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
And honestly, too, if you've got somebody in your inner circle that you're questioning yourself, are they manipulating me intentionally? Is it unintentionally? Is it maliciously? Is it because of their childhood? Is it because of this, that, the other? Like these are the signs to start backing things up from this person. Because if you're even having to question, like, do they have a plan? Is it, all of this stuff, like that's way too much mental energy to be spending on a person that there is no sincere relationship with.
Yeah. So. And I want to say this. I do understand why you asked the question. I understand why everybody wants to know, what is their motivation? How are they functioning? I'm the same way. I want to know, obviously, which is why I do what I do. But that was my need to know is what started me doing what I do. Because I started doing the research and digging and trying to figure it out and interpret it and understand it. And that I think is part of being who I am, and I think who maybe some of you are, is, and I think even you, Dana, but you're right, we can't dwell on it forever. It's difficult even for us, I think, I shouldn't speak for both of us, for me to always focus on this every day. But I get through it by knowing that I'm helping other people get through it, and understand it. But I want to point, the only reason I brought that up is because I want to say that if you stay focused on, like Dana said, their motivations and why are they doing this and all of this, and you aren't moving forward, it's a very valid point that she made. You're not going to, don't waste your energy on someone who wouldn't give you theirs in the same circumstance. Or
who's just not emotionally present. Like if they're not walking in their truth, then there is no relationship there. But you bring up a great point, Angie, about the needing to figure this stuff out. I mean, most people, and I agree with you completely. When you first stumble into this, it's just like bizarro world.
Yeah.
And you're like, what on earth? And can I get through to them? Or like, I don't know. And do they know? And what if they did know? Could that change things? And why would somebody exert all of this energy to just continually play games and be deceitful?
Yeah.
And, I think it's definitely a later stage in healing when a person gets to that place where it's like, it's less, our healing comes from shifting our focus from trying to figure out them to shifting our focus back onto us and figuring out, okay, what is allowable in my life? Yeah. And then realizing that you're just going to you're with a manipulative, deceitful person, we're never going to have the closure or the honesty that we're seeking because they're incapable of it. It's only just different levels to their game. Like there is no sincere, authentic self present with them.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think on that same token, we end up, okay, little story time. So every time I've ever had a job, a job job, which I have not, thank goodness, in 13 years. No, that's not right. Wait, that is right. 13 years. I've been doing my own business. Woo!
Good for you.
Okay. Thank you. Anyway, but every time I've had a job, I went to work and it took me 6 months to really learn what I was dealing with. So like I would learn the function first. For example, one of my jobs was in medical billing, and I knew medical billing because the previous job I had done medical billing, but this time it was a specific type of medical billing and it was different than what I had dealt with before. And so I knew a lot about it, but I didn't know this company's way of doing it. And there were certain things that I didn't fully get until 6 months. So I was doing the steps as I was told to do the steps, but I didn't really grasp the reason I was doing the steps until 6 months, which sounds dumb. I understood the larger reason, but I didn't understand all the intricacies of it until about 6 months in. And for me, going through the motions sometimes helps me to understand the reasoning behind things. So as I was going through recovery and I started to do this research and I started to kind of really get my hands around what I was dealing with, on a similar token, even though somehow for me, going through the logic of it in this case, instead of the emotions, made the emotions easier to bear, because I was able to look at the logic. Okay, so now this person is sitting here and they are doing a behavior that is identifiable, classifiable. This is gaslighting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so for me to look at that person while they are actively gaslighting me and go, they're gaslighting me. My God, it took the power out so fast. I no longer felt bowled over by it, because I could look at it and understand it in my head. Okay, this is a manipulation tactic. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if those two stories relate as closely as they did in my head, but
no, they do. And I think that you're right. I mean, it is a really big part of healing, I think, to understand what manipulative behavior is and to have the vocabulary for it.
yes.
Because if we don't have our vocabulary shapes our reality. And if we don't have the words for things, we just know that it feels uncomfortable and off or hurtful. But if you have something concrete to point to, especially with manipulation, where it's all about confusion, and you're like, you know what, that's projection, that's gaslighting, that's triangulation.
Yeah.
That's a flying monkey, that's a Hoover. It's just everything, all those pieces just start coming together. And that initial like researching and understanding phase it really is so key. I think where like I said, it's a later stage of healing. I think when people, and it's a stage that took me many years, frankly, to get to, because I didn't think I had anything to focus on with me. Like I thought, well, no, this person caused me all this pain. I just need to figure this out in order for me to get closure. And then I just need to work on my world not feeling so blown apart. And then like, that's healing.
Yeah.
And that's a part of it. That's a big part of it. But realizing like, I just think the depth of that they just don't have, there's other people in this world that do not have the same moral compass as you or I.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And it's so deep that it's so deep because you have this idea in your head that this is what a human being thinks like and feels like.
Yes.
And when you meet somebody or you learn that you've been involved with somebody your whole life, like parents or whatever, and that person, you look at them for the first time and your eyes are opened and you're like, how are they walking around on the planet with this in their head and this in their soul? They don't care that they hurt someone else. They don't care if that person, is devastated for life. When you see or hear a narcissistic parent go after their child and you're triggered by it because you remember how that feels to be that child, or you see or hear, them go after their spouse in the same deal, or you yourself are the child, or you yourself are the spouse, and you feel it and you see it and you just go. I mean, I remember when I met my ex-husband thinking so many times like, and I said out loud to him, who told you that it's okay to act like this? Many times, because who told them it was okay? It's mind blowing. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah. And you hit on another thing that's really important is normal, like well-adjusted, functioning, keyword, functioning adults have this stuff ironed out by first or second grade.
Exactly.
And so if you're witnessing a person who's having like throwing emotional temper tantrums when they don't get their way, they're having a meltdown, they think it's somehow within their toolkit of ways to deal with stress or frustration or dislike of others, that they're going to hit or kick or spit or cuss or throw things or act like a kindergartner. You're dealing with an adult who missed a bunch of steps in the maturation process. And to think that we can now go in and like reparent them is it's important to see like you've got skill sets that they didn't master by the age of 6, and now they're 46. So
Right.
40 years of maturation that they didn't get. They're not going to get that in a few therapy sessions. They're not going to get that in us correcting them, us trying to set boundaries and correct their behavior. You're basically dealing with a really dangerous, unruly teenager.
Yes.
You never had people potentially. Sometimes I've known people that have been awesome parents and their child still just turns out rotten. So sometimes it does happen. But if they grew up in a den of dysfunction and there was no corrective, if their parents are like that, right? Like you're swimming upstream. Like it's a lost cause. Like that's just what it is now.
Yeah, because, and we talk about narcissistic fleas or whatever sometimes, and it's a similar thing. Like you see people and you go, well, I mean, I have admitted before that I've had narcissistic fleas. Like when I first got married, I couldn't believe my current husband had the nerve to think he was going to have anything to do with the decorating in my house. Like I was floored by this because I never saw my mother get any help with her. I mean, he helped her with building all the things and doing all the stuff, but never actually designing all the stuff or choosing this stuff. And so I found that very shocking that a man wanted to have anything to do with my decorating. And now I'm over it. But that was a flea. I now know that was a flea because why? Of course he lives here. Why wouldn't he want to have some say over the decorating?
Right.
But little things. And then some people with bigger, automatic manipulations, people who like I was talking about before, people don't think. And if you think about it and you see people like, if you're co-parenting with somebody and you constantly hear your co-parent go, oh, is that what you think? Oh, really? Blah, 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 bully to their kid. You might catch yourself bullying in the same way. And thankfully that didn't happen but I've seen it happen. And thankfully I left my narcissist when my child was 16 months old. So he didn't get to do much parenting, and he didn't do much when we were there anyway, but I've seen it and I've heard it from clients where the narcissist bullies their child and they go, oh my God, I heard myself doing it just like this person does it. And they feel terrible. But I think the difference is when you know that you're picking up a bad behavior and you identify it, then you have a choice. And I think if you are a strong person or you're a person who is an empath or you're a person who wants to be better, then all you have to do is change your behavior. But narcissists, as we all are sadly aware, they don't see there's anything wrong and they will defend that behavior, so.
Yeah. And we have a question here from Mickey about empathy and says, this is a weird question, but would sociopaths and narcissists feel empathy on drugs that affect empathy, such as MDMA? Would it give them the ability to feel empathy?
I know about this. Yes. And the reason is because it in what I have seen happen, I have seen it. What I have seen happen is when they are very drunk or incapacitated in some way, chemically speaking, their ego is inhibited. And when their ego is inhibited, you will catch glimpses of the real them. And that's very dangerous, FYI, because not only is the drug and alcohol thing terrible, but it's dangerous for a codependent to catch a glimpse of a real person. It's dangerous for an empath to catch a glimpse of a real person inside of that intoxication. And the reason I say that is because me personally, I'm going to be much more tenderhearted to a person who shows me their real underbelly. And if I see it during intoxication, now at this point in my life, I understand that that's a bunch of BS and it's just because they're intoxicated that they let the ego go away for a minute to talk to me about it. But there was a time in my life when I would have seen that as a gift, almost as a little insight into that person and how to understand them better. But the truth is that if you allow that to be the case, you're just going to stay longer and be tortured longer, because when they're not intoxicated, the ego will not allow that part to come back. So that's what I would say. What are your thoughts about that, Dana?
Well, and I think too, like empathy is only part of it. I think a lot of the reason that they tend to lack empathy is because they have an attitude of entitlement and they have a lot of walls up for whatever reason. And
It has to be.
It's ego. So it's, or a underdeveloped ego. So like, what Angie was saying, if somebody shows you like their underbelly and like, here's everything about me that I'm insecure about, like these kinds of things normally will bond other people because we can see another person's pain, and we like, it almost makes us love them more because it's like those imperfections bond us as human beings. That's the thing. It takes to have a real relationship with somebody, people have to be vulnerable, like appropriately vulnerable with each other. For narcissists and sociopaths, they see that vulnerability as a weakness. Yes. It doesn't bond them to us. It disgusts them. And that's one of the reasons they go on the attack. But it's not that it's never about us with them. It's about them seeing their own potential vulnerabilities being reflected back at them.
Whoa, I couldn't have said that better myself. I'm sorry, I just bumped my computer. I got excited.
Okay.
That was really, really good. The way that you put that, it was absolutely like, I couldn't have said it better. And you're really right. Yes.
Well, thanks. Yeah. And it's that entitlement too of everything. It's that underdeveloped ego. It's all about me all of the time. I should be able to do what I want and not have consequences. Like that's the ego of a small child. You're dealing with the underdeveloped ego in an adult form. And so that sense of entitlement, when a person feels like I should just be able to do whatever I want, whenever I want, as much as I want, and not have consequences, other people aren't real to them. They're only there to serve their purpose, just like little kids. Everything is about them all of the time. This is a normal, natural, healthy part in development. Narcissists and sociopaths, for whatever reason, don't ever grow out of that. They still have that mindset of it's all about them. They might still have empathy in certain ways. Like they might be really good with dogs, or they might have what we perceive to be empathy with dealing. I mean, both of my exes were incredibly charming and charismatic and likable and seemingly really wonderful men. Yeah. And you would never guess that they, like the Scott Petersons or the latest guy, the Chris, whatever his name is. It's just that sense of like, everybody's disposable. You serve a purpose. If it gets in my way, then you're gone.
Right.
So and Angie was saying, it can be so dangerous when we're holding on to hope, or we see these like little flashes of empathy of like, oh, but I saw them cry when their dog died, or, oh, I saw them help a little old lady across the street. Does that mean that there's hope, or that they're not a narcissist or a sociopath? That's dangerous thinking. I have yet to meet a person, who has been diagnosed. I had worked with like murderers and rapists and child molesters and lots of different people when I was a psychiatric nurse. I've never worked with one that was like 100% evil or presented as 100% evil.
That's a really good point.
So don't let that fool you, thinking like, oh, they smiled at me or they cried or they said they're sorry as empathy or sincerity even.
And I believe that some of them will actually appear to demonstrate empathy during love bombing and hoovering phases. Yes. In my experience. Yeah. And that's something that really throws us off, which is why I always say, like, don't rush into sex, don't rush into commitment, don't rush into very serious relationship stuff. Take your time and get to know a person, and the reason is exactly what Dana just said. And the length of time, I say, like, before you get very serious about anyone, like, know them for a year. Well, you know what I'm saying? Before you go even think about like getting engaged, getting married or anything like that. But then also if you struggle with them and they're like, well, I want to go faster. I want to move, let's have sex. Let's move in together. Let's whatever. Oh, don't you want a baby before you're 50 or whatever? Mm-hmm. Like, keep in mind that the person that's the right person for you is not going to push you. If you say to them, look, I really like you too, but I just need to go slow for my own peace of mind, or whatever crap you want to say, I just slow down, tell them. And if they have a problem, that's a big red flag. That's all I'm saying. Because the person who would want to, you're right person. They will wait for you forever if they have to. And I know that sounds weird, but don't be unreasonable, but also give yourself personal boundaries. Like I've said before, I always had with myself, I had timelines on things where I had to date somebody monogamously for a year before they were allowed to propose. I had to, go on 6 dates with them before I even considered sex. And I had to know them for 6 months monogamously before I allowed my child to meet them. Whatever it is for you, come up with timelines that feel comfortable for you, and don't push them. There's a reason, to do that. All right.
Yeah. And this too, like, about having these standards for yourself. And while we're dating a person or we're friends with a person or whatever it is that we're figuring them out, is it seeing them also in a wide variety of situations? How do they handle frustration? How do they handle stress? How do they handle their money? Are they religious? Is that a big part of their life? What would that be like if we somehow joined forces as friends or as significant others or what have you?
Yeah. How do they treat their mother or their mother figure or their father figure? Those are important things to think about.
Yeah. And if their parents are problematic, if their mother's a narcissist or their father's a narcissist, what kind of boundaries do they have in place?
Right.
Or are they being puppeteered by that obligation and guilt? And then their whole plan is, if their mom wants to come stay with you for a month over Christmas, that they're going to allow that or have her move in with you.
Yes. That's a very important thing, because I can't tell you how many clients I've had, people who felt strongly enough that they wanted to hire a coach to talk about it, who are talking to me about mothers-in-law. No joke. Yeah. No joke.
It's a big thing. I mean, like when you're in a relationship, it's not just you and that other person, it's your inner circle and their inner circle.
Yes.
And if they have like toxic people in their inner circle that are going to make your life a living hell, this is you got to realize, like, this is part of the package, and it's a valid deal breaker if you're with somebody and they have a total nightmare as a child or as a parent, or their best friend is a piece of crap, and that's going to be in your life. And so it's important that we really get clear with ourselves about where our deal breakers are and like what we consider workable and all that.
Yeah. And, and then people will say, well, you can't really ask somebody to not talk to their mother anymore. No, but what you can do, if you really care about this person and you really believe that they care about you, you can say, before I'm willing to take this relationship any further, I really need to understand what the boundaries are here. And, what if this happens and that happens? And then you may want to extend out any sort of, potential partnership much, to a later date, to make sure that, in fact, if something comes up, and this person is put, it's a tough place to be, because you never want to say to somebody, well, you can't talk to your mother. That's ridiculous, right? Yeah. Logically. But you do want to have someone who will have your back first when you are their partner. And it's a fine line to balance. And if you can't, it's tough.
Well, I think there's certain understandings, right? Like you guys can agree as a couple of, okay, here's our understanding with company, like really, 3 days, 5 days max. Mm-hmm. And, or we're not going to loan money to family, or, yes. We're going to have certain discussions. Like if your mom wants to come stay for a month over Christmas, that's going to be really stressful. I don't know if I can do this. Maybe can she stay in a hotel? Even if she's not a narcissist, like that's still a long time for anybody.
House guest in general, a long time.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, so like just getting clear on that kind of stuff, and then realizing all you have control over is you. So if you're, and I think it's okay if you're married to a person or dating a person and they have this one other problematic person in their life and they're continually talking about it and it's just sucking the energy out of you, or it's impacting your life, to just be like, I think you need to see a therapist or a life coach. Like frankly, something needs to give. I'm tired of hearing about it.
Yeah.
So like this is negatively spilling over into our relationship. I want you to find peace and enjoyment, but there needs to be some better boundaries here, because you're bringing all this stuff home, and I hate to see you this way, and I don't want it to negatively impact us.
Right.
So what's the plan? Yeah. And same thing with like, company and stuff. If they're like, okay, well, my mom, I felt guilty. I she's going to stay for, my however long I said it would be okay for her to stay for, then I would just say, okay, one of us needs to find a hotel because I'm just not going to do that. So like,
have your boundaries. Yeah.
Have your boundaries. Yeah.
And then on that same token, when we're talking about kids, this is tougher because I mean, I think mothers and fathers are tough, right? But I think kids are worse. And I don't mean worse, tougher, because
it's a bigger challenge. Yeah.
It's a child. And so, but I've seen it even in, I'm not going to mention names, in friends close to me. I've seen struggle with the stepchildren and the back and forth between the father and the child, or the mother and the child, you know, the step parent and the child. And then the other parent feeling really confused and stressed out because they're kind of putting them in the middle of it all. And then there's like usually a third parent involved, and that causes, it's a mess. But I think in every situation, if you are the step parent, then you have to defer to the parents for parenting decisions, unless you are the primary parent, which does happen as well. But then, what happens is that I have one client right now who, her soon-to-be ex passed away before the divorce could even be served. And the child she'd been raising for the last 5 years was given back to the child's mother, who didn't have custody. This person had custody with the father, and they were very close, she and this child. And now the child won't have anything to do with her. So it's messed up. The whole step parent thing is confusing and stressful, but I don't know how that's valuable at all.
Well, no, I think I think it's just that awareness of like, it takes more than just love to make a relationship work. And it's even more difficult. I forget the divorce rate. It's like 80% for second marriages, because you have so many other added challenges, especially when you have minor children in the mix. And, it's these things to really think about, of like, how are we going to handle that? And how is this going to play out? And what do we do? Let's say you get, marry somebody and you have, what's the plan for college? And, before you had 2 kids and they had 2 kids. Well, now you've got 4 kids. And what's the expectation of, are we going to pay for college? Are we going to pay part of it? How are we, if we're not making the same amount of money, how are we going to do that? And
then there's the parenting stuff,
right? Like
do I parent your child or not? Right.
Yeah. All of that. Yeah. It's a lot.
I got lucky. I didn't have to deal with, I know that sounds weird because I did have a child from a previous relationship, but my husband adopted him. And so we were both his parents, and that was that. But I didn't have, my ex, he fell off the planet after we divorced, and that's not great. But I
think it makes it easier in some ways, though.
It certainly did. And it certainly did. So, and I know some people here in this group have gone through struggles with step parents taking their children through the court system and all kinds of, it's a lot of craziness that happens.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, I've got a question from Bonnie, who says, if a narcissist was raised by good parents, how does the child sometimes end up to be a narcissist or sociopath?
Okay. I think number one, you have to consider that you weren't probably there when they were being raised. Or if you were there when they were being raised, then there may have been outside things happening. There could have been bullying at school, or on the flip side of that, if there wasn't another person in their life who caused them to become toxic, then what you might be dealing with is overprivilege, which does also give a person an inflated sense of entitlement. And I've seen it. My ex was an overprivileged narcissist. His parents did nothing wrong except give him everything he wanted and enable him to be who he was. So,
yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Spoiling a child is definitely a big problem. And it really fosters that entitlement mentality of that the world should revolve around them. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't teach any skills of like delayed gratification and handling stress and frustration and disappointment. And so, that's a big part of it. Here's the thing too about how events shape a person is sometimes it might not necessarily be like this big trauma in their life, like that they were, they had an abusive parent, or that they were bullied at school, or that, that they were molested. Sometimes it's not like these, what we would consider like to be pretty traumatic life events. Sometimes it's more it's the feelings that go along with those events. So if it's a person feeling shame or feeling less than, or feeling, I don't know, I think sometimes inadequate in any way, shape, or form. Like I shared a story. I had an acquaintance of mine, her husband, and he even said one of the most pivotal things in his life, he went to school one day, I think it was for school pictures. He was really underdressed and he was made fun of. And from that point forward, he was always way overdressed. And he had a really expensive wardrobe. I didn't even know people outside of like the Kardashians like spent this amount of money on clothes. He 6-figure wardrobe and was always very, very well dressed. And it was that moment, but it wasn't even about the clothes he wore. It was that feeling of inadequacy from that one event. He was a compulsive cheater. He was very just insecure in everything that he did. And it was really formative in his personality. Whereas somebody else might go through something similar and feel, and I mean, I went through that growing up, feeling just inadequate and less than, and didn't have the right clothes or any of that. And, but it didn't express, like, it didn't come out in a weird way, or if it did, I'm not aware of it, but it definitely didn't come out in a 6-figure wardrobe. Like I can tell you that. So it's weird how these events shape people, because it's just the feelings that are associated with them, not so much the event themselves.
Right. Oh yeah. Is there a cat behind me? Yeah. Yeah. The cat's pulling up. Awesome. Okay. Anyway. Okay. So, a similar thing happened to me actually this is a ridiculous thing to say, but within the course of about 3 weeks, when I was in my early 20s, a single mom, I had 2 instances where police officers had an opportunity to help me. And in one case they did. And in the other case, which was far more desperate, they didn't. Okay. Now, in both cases, they were male police officers. In one case, I had my child with me. In the other case, I didn't. In the case that I had my child with me, I had spent the night at my aunt's house, who was like right at my, same age as me. And so we were like cousins or sisters instead of aunt and niece. And she had a child just a couple months younger than my child, older than my child. And so we were on our way back home from her house, which was about an hour and a half away, and my car broke down. I was broke back then. And anyway, I had left her house in my pajamas with my hair piled on top of my head, no makeup. It was not a pretty sight, really. It looked terrible. Well, so a police officer saw us on the side of the road and pulled over. And he was like, "You got a ride?" I said, "Well, I called my uncle. He said he'll try to get here when he can." He said it might be a few hours. And the dude left me on the side of the road with a 2-year-old in the car. Okay.
Wow.
Well, 2 weeks later, I was on my way to work, dressed for work, had my hair did, had my makeup on, looked good. Another police officer on my car, stupid car, same car, of course. The tire popped or whatever. I had a flat tire, and I pulled over on the side of the road, and this cop got out of his car, came over, laid on the ground, and changed my tire for me.
Oh, wow.
I could work. Okay. Now, maybe that was just a jerk cop and a nice cop. I don't know. But the difference in that situation, besides not having the child with me, which I don't think was the issue, was the way I looked. And so I became, for a long time, obsessed. I wouldn't leave the house without makeup. It was like a safety issue for me. It wasn't like I was trying to look better than anybody. It was like, I just knew that when I had makeup on, people were nicer to me than they were when I didn't. And I still think that's the case. But I also think that in reality, part of that could be that I just feel more confident when I go out with makeup as opposed to without. But either way, I see a difference in the way people treat me. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, it's interesting, the cause and effect that our brain links up, and how it shapes our behavior. And it can just be, events like that. And it might have, in the first cop might not have even thought he was being a jerk. You might have thought, oh, well, she's got it covered. I don't want to freak her out and like wait around. Or maybe he didn't know how to change a tire. Right. And so like, It's really wild, the different things, that we link up with my first ex. I know a big, moment in his life, which I really think kind of set, because he had really fantastic parents. They were still married. They were so cute. They traveled the world together. Like they were just the neatest couple. His siblings were all fine. It was him. And he was a pathological liar and a sex addict and dangerous and destructive. And he had gotten his girlfriend pregnant in high school.
Oh,
and she had the baby. And then he basically had nothing to do with her or the baby after that. And his next girlfriend had mentioned that she wanted to get on birth control, and and who knows? I mean, honestly, he was such a pathological liar. Like, who knows if the story is even true? But he was saying that really freaked him out, that she wanted to get on birth control. It was like they were adult, even though he'd already gotten this girl pregnant. She was doing this next girl was doing the responsible thing. But I kind of think like that whole experience of getting a girl pregnant when he was, 16, and all of that freaked him out so much. It's like he's just unable to effectively bond to anybody.
Yeah.
And just cycles through people, male, female, you name it, nonstop as his way of just keeping intimacy at bay.
Mm-hmm.
So, this is why when we talk about like there's no excuse for abuse, and a lot of people talk about, hurt people. Like we're all hurt.
Yeah.
Like we all go through stuff and we find different ways of coping with it. So there's just, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what happened in a person's childhood. Like as an adult, goes back to that whole, we need to be a functional adult. The functional adult in ourselves needs to be able to be responsible for our actions and getting to the bottom of this stuff. And if we're catching ourselves, we have fleas, we have maladaptive ways of behaving. It's our responsibility to get into therapy, get a good life coach, do what we need to do to iron that stuff out, to make our lives and the lives of those that we're responsible for work.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Okay. I see that we are running out of time, Dana. So do you want to each pick one more and then?
Sure.
Okay. Let me see here.
Okay. I'll look too.
Okay. I like to see these people moving forward. That's a very beautiful thing. Lots of people saying they have garage sales in order to, that's great, to kind of build up the funding. Okay, so.
Mickey, people are talking about leaving the house without makeup and how big of a thing this is. And she says, I swear people are nicer to me when I look good.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
And it's an ugly truth. I hate it, but it's true. It's the same people,
Mm-hmm.
Even like the mailman. I mean, and not that they're jerks to you otherwise, you know what I mean? But like I have one of these, I had this doctor that gave me this medicine one time and I have a spot right here on my face that in the summertime, you could see it. It's a white spot and it bothers me a lot. And so I feel like, when I get freckles and all this other stuff, and I feel like, I think it's partially my own insecurity that makes it happen, but I certainly do see a huge difference. And even when I forget that I'm not wearing makeup and I'm being secure and feeling good about myself, I still see a difference in the way women and men, not just men, women and men. And I think it has to do with maybe the way I'm presenting myself, but also with the fact that people make assumptions about you if you look put together or not.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And thank you, Bonnie. Bonnie says I'm beautiful no matter what. I really appreciate that. But it's certainly true. And see, Rob says she's had similar experiences and sees a different. Yeah. Mickey still never leaves the house without makeup. Yeah. And that's the truth. Honestly, I still don't either unless I have to. And if I do, I go to places where I know that not that many people will see me. Like if I have to go pick something up and I don't feel like doing all this, I'll go to like this little corner place by my house that, was that you?
Yeah, I'm good.
Oh, okay. Okay. She has to go. Okay. Anyway. Sorry. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, Shastina. Thank you for pointing that out. I didn't even see all that. Oh, Linnell, I was fat and the odd one out, she said. Then I was ill and throwing up and I lost and I'm skinny now pretty. That was super hard on my mind. That is terrible for sure. But I'll tell you something. Yeah, that's a rough place to be. But again, I know some very plus size women, especially and men for that matter, who are like rocking because they do their hair and makeup. They still look good and they don't care if you don't like it. And I think that's incredibly beautiful. I think that whoever you are, I don't care. I know people who don't wear makeup. Like, okay, I was telling you how I was in my pajamas, no hair, no makeup done. I mean, had hair, but it wasn't done. No makeup. And I had this person treat me this way. Well, my office manager Friend, Melina, this girl could walk around in her pajamas with no makeup and hair and everybody will still want to help her out, and it's just, I think the way that we carry ourselves more than anything, because I felt ashamed of myself for being in public in my pajamas with my hair on top of my head at that moment. You know what I'm saying? With no makeup. And I wonder, I don't know. I think that if you are very, very confident, it doesn't matter as much how you look, but I was not and am not as confident as I should be in that respect.
Yeah, that's something I'd like to work on too. I wear a lot less makeup. I don't like lately than I did, 10 years ago, but I don't know if that's even necessarily that good of a thing. I feel like especially now that I work from home, I just kind of have been schlubby. It's easy to get schlubby. And then that kind of feeling trickles over and you just kind of feel like schlubby all the time. And that's not I was just thinking about that earlier today. Like, I really would like to start putting in a little bit more effort into my appearance and into my clothes, because I think it would have a more positive impact on me. I think since my relationship with Jack, I have been in a place where I just have been wanting to hide and disappear. And I didn't realize that for like the longest time. And I think that's really kind of what is at the root of not really. I used to wear bright, fun lipstick. I used to wear more form-fitting clothes. Everything is super baggy. And my friends even joke with me about that, because I'll buy tops and that are like a 3X, and they're like, what do you, because I'm like, that's my wardrobe in the fall and winter is like a 3X top and leggings and boots.
Dana.
I know. And
you're so beautiful. I wish you would see that. You're so pretty. And I know everybody in the chat will agree with me on this. You don't really need a bunch of makeup. You have great skin. You're very pretty. But with that being said, I think it's really important to feel good about yourself. And I want you to promise me one thing. Next week, when we do this, I want all this did. Okay. Wear a shirt that you feel pretty in. Because I only dress from the waist up anyway. Like, I'm wearing a dress today, but that's just like, I can't wear real shoes anymore. I pretty much wear flip-flops all the time. I own all the real shoes, but I never wear the real shoes, except in the winter and when I must. Okay, because working from home does that kind of thing to you. But I never ever go on camera without makeup anymore. And it helps me. It helps me keep my head together. And just for this next Tuesday, will you promise me that you'll come in with the hair and the makeup done?
I will.
Yay! Because it'll just be a tiny step. And I'll do it too. I might even fix my hair cute instead of just like washing it and doing this to it.
Okay. I like it.
Okay.
That's a plan. At a minimum, I'll wear bright lipstick.
That's all I need. Lipstick.
Scary. I haven't done that in like 10 years.
Okay. Good. I'm excited. Dana's going to wear lipstick, everybody. So next week, make sure you come over to her channel because we'll be over there next week.
Yes.
See the lips. She's like, not on my channel. Yes. All right. Okay. Well, it could just be even just a tinted gloss if you're not ready to go full on lipstick.
I'll see what I have. I think it's good. It'll get me out of my comfort zone.
Yes, it's fun. So if you have a similar challenge for me, bust it out because I'll be happy to try to comply.
I will message you. Let me think about it.
Okay.
Let's talk. I'll catch you on Facebook and we'll figure something out because I like the idea of getting out of our comfort zone.
Yes. Okay. So next week over at Dana's channel, Thrive After Abuse, here on YouTube, make sure you pop over because we're both going to do something to come out of our comfort zone live.
And then also more vision board stuff. So if you guys have some pictures or words, start gathering this stuff. We're going to probably start coming up with like 1 or 2 things every week. And we're just going to build our vision boards here together with you guys. And we would love for you to be a part of that. I think it'd be fun.
Yes. Yes. Okay. We're going to wrap up because Dana has to leave right now. And so do I. So we will see you guys next week.
Okay.
Thrive After Abuse here on YouTube, thriveafterabuse.com, Thrive After Abuse on Facebook. For Dana, y'all know where to find me in the description, and I'll have Dana's links here in this video as well when we repost it. Okay, everybody. See you later. Thanks so much for being a part of my day, part of my life. Thanks, Dana.
Thanks, Angie.
All right.
Okay, bye.